Yes, okay. All right. Okay, cool. All right. I first would like to say that there has been a mandate that has been given to our father, Abraham, who has graciously left us what I would say a blueprint on how to properly follow our Creator. And he has demonstrated through his life how to successfully overcome obstacles, and especially in the times of adversity and hardship. Our father displayed, I would say, what they would call an unyielding willingness to follow the Most High, no matter what the cost. We know that Abraham had put his trust in the Most High, the one who called him to be in his service. And actually, you guys, we're the ones that are called by Yah himself. And the purpose of this call is that the Most High wants to shape our lives. He wants to shape our lives in a way that would be pleasing to him. And it's only through this transformation process that we're able to receive our, what you would say, life's experiences. I figured the more that we begin to trust the Most High, and the more that we begin to trust, I would say, the process, the better you and I will become. You know, our lives would become more relevant, and they would be more meaningful if you and I were to accept this divine calling, the one especially that was given to our father Abraham. And so at the end of the day, you and I will find our purpose, and we will find our will and our desire. And we should have that bent towards the Most High. And if we are to do this, you and I will be creating a more deeper and sustainable relationship with the Most High. And then you and I would begin to fully rely upon him for all things. And so this week's Torah portion has been about a journey. And of course, all of us have to take our journey for ourselves. And this journey that you and I are on, we'll discover there are vast opportunities to educate ourselves. We're going to have to learn new things, and we're literally going to have to unlearn the old. And so in every instance, whether we're learning old or the new, we find ourselves searching for him, and of course, him alone. And while walking with the Most High, you and I will become more humble, we'll become more pure, and we would be able to understand the importance of living a righteous life. And of course, this only applies to a wise and a thoughtful people, someone who would give attention and understanding to know that they should take advantage of this opportunity, the one that's presented to us, that we would expand our minds and our hearts to make more room for the Most High, and to make room for his love and his compassion. I say to you today that ultimately you and I want to come to completely understand the mandate that has been given to us, just as it was given to our father Abraham. And as you know, you and I are the beneficiaries of our father Abraham. And it was because of his willingness and his wholeheartedness that you and I are able to participate in what they would call the divine blessing of the everlasting covenant, which is an agreement which the Most High swore to him. So on this particular day, on this glorious day, this glorious Shabbat, I would like for all of us to remember to follow in the footsteps of our dear father Abraham. I'm asking today that you and I would always seek to understand the divine wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding of this most fearsome, awesome, and powerful Elohim, always known by the eternal name Yod He Wahe. That's his name. This week's Torah portion was pretty extensive. It was quite long, but as you know, I only take out a little bit of the Torah portion when I'm teaching. I don't believe that it's necessary for us to go over every single detail of the Torah because, of course, we're on our cycle and we're going to be going through our life cycle. And as we go through the Torah, we're always going to learn something new. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And feel free to ask your questions at the end of the study. Have a pen and paper and, write down the questions that you may have. Our Torah portion this week was called Lech Lecha. Okay, Lech Lecha. And there are different aspects of the Torah that we're going to be talking about today. The part that I want to discuss is about the covenant. There was a covenant that was mentioned in our last week's Torah portion. It talked about the covenant that the Most High made with Noach and with humanity. This week, I decided that I wanted to talk about the covenant that was made with our father, Abraham. Okay, he's the foundation of what you would call the Hebrew people. So we're going to discuss the covenant. We're also going to talk about wealth. I want us to understand that how important wealth is to a family and into a community, not only just an individual, but it is essential for the growth and the development of any family. Okay, you need wealth. So we're going to talk about that as well. And then also, too, finally, we're going to talk about the hardships that some of them that Abraham had experienced. And of course, I don't have slides for every last one of these hardships or everything that has to do with the covenant or everything that has to do with wealth. But I think we can glean some of the things that you read this week. Okay. So the Most High had said, and here in the Hebrew it says, Vayomer Yahweh el Avram to Lech Lecha. And so basically in English it says, and he said Yahweh to Avram, Lech Lecha. So the part that we're going to be discussing is the Lech Lecha, which are the last few letters that you see here on the screen that are a little bit larger than the rest of this sentence here in Hebrew. Okay. The first letter that you find in Lech Lecha is the Lamed in Hebrew. Okay. The Lamed is the first letter. The Lamed has that's just the name of the letter. This is where you get your letter L in English. And a lot of other languages, they get their letter L from this in particular letter right here. And I want to talk to you just briefly a little bit about this letter, okay? And from a Hebraic and a cultural context, it means a staff. And this is what a shepherd used to carry when they were leading their flock, or a nomad when he's walking around and he has to lead and he's just walking around. Okay, or anyone in that culture, they usually walked around with a staff, and instead of walking around with just a sword, they walked with a staff. A staff could have been used for protection. It's used for agriculture. It's used for animals. It's used for a variety of different things. So this was a very significant, what I would say, tool or item that was used. It was very significant in the Hebrew culture. See here. That staff represents authority. Okay. That's what it represents. So the first part of our word, lek, has to do with a staff and it has to do with authority. The second part of this letter that I want to talk to you about today is it means to learn. Okay. So when the Most High said Lech Lecha, there's an idea of authority there. There's an idea of walking in it. There's an idea of learning, okay? And learning what? Okay, so the shepherd uses the staff to teach. and to lead. And so this is what the idea of the Most High is doing with our father Abraham. He's leading him. And therefore, by him learning from him and being led by him, he is now able to understand that the life in which he has now is one that requires discipline. And that discipline is coming from the one that is teaching us, the one who is leading us, and the one who is caring for us. So, in any type of relationship that we have with our Creator, this is going to be the foundation of our relationship. It always has to do with learning. It always has to do with some type of correction. The second letter of that word, lekah or lek, has to do with what they would call the letter Kaf. Okay. Kaf. And you can remember that because the Kaf, it has to do with the palm of one's hand. So we see another Hebraic understanding about how our bodies are part of our experience and how we learn from our bodies, how we learn from the tools that we have, how we learn from the places that we live, how we learn from the environment, okay, how we learn from the seasons. So our experience as human beings is given to us by our Creator by the very things that He has made. So the next letter of lek or lekah has to do with the palm of the hand. The palm of the hand symbolizes the action of taming one. Again, going to the idea of discipline. See, you take your hand in the palm of your hand and you do something with it, okay? And you can remember the word cough by taking the palm of your hand. And when you have to cough, which is a different spelling, of course, you can remember this letter by coughing into your hand, in the palm of your hand, like to cough. That is the actual name of the letter. This letter also represents to grab something and to possess it and to ultimately take control. Okay. So again, discipline, taming, control, learning, walking, possessing, grabbing hold of. So here we see the Most High when he opens up this statement about that I said to Abraham to lek lekah. What he's saying is, I'm taking possession of you. I'm taking possession of you. I've taken an interest in you. I'm going to lead you. And when I lead you, I'm going to control you. I have to take hold of you in order to do this. Okay. Now, in the context of the physical and the spiritual world, we understand that lek, because as you can see right here on the bottom of your screen, I have it in white versus the other one, lekah, which is in the gray. The letters are exactly the same, okay, but they're pronounced differently. So what's the difference between the lek and the lekah, especially when they're the same letters? It's still the lamed, it's still a kaf, the final kaf. The other one, the gray one, is the lamed and the kaf. Same letters, but they mean something different, okay? And I'm going to show you the difference between the lek and the lekah. I'm going to show you, okay? It's not only just the way they sound, right? And even though they look exactly like each other, they have a different meaning. Okay. So the first part of lek, lekah, is we're going to talk about the lek. Okay. So in context, it has to do with the physical and the spiritual walk that one has to do. It has to do with this idea of what they would call an imperative, which is a command. So when the Most High was speaking to Abraham, or what I would say Avram, that they have in the context, that his name, he's telling him, look, I'm giving you an imperative. I'm giving you a command. I'm telling you something. I'm telling you to walk. That was the command. That was the instruction. Okay. So now we understand that what the imperative is, the command, and we have the background and the cultural and the historical context of this. He's not only saying physically that I want you to walk, I also want you to spiritually walk. Often when the Most High comes to an individual, they believe that they only have to walk physically with him. They think if they show up at the times that he told them to go, then they're fine. He's not giving this command to just his body. He's giving it a command to his spirit. He's giving it a command to his soul. He's telling him and giving him an imperative, which is a command. Okay. It wasn't a desire and it wasn't a wish. It was a command. I want you to walk. So if I'm telling you that I want you to walk, I'm telling you I want you to learn. I'm telling you that I want to teach you. I'm telling you that I'm going to tame you. I'm telling you I'm going to grab hold of you. I'm telling you that now I want you to be my possession. I'm asking you to do something, right? Because I want you to come to rely upon me and come to trust me. Not only is there a physical and a spiritual context about the lakah or the lek, but the lakah on the other end of lek lakah, we have lakah, which deals with the mind, the body, and the soul, right? Now we're going to break this word down. I told you there was a difference. Even though they look exactly alike, they're both the lamed and the kaf, they're different. There's something being spoken different, okay? The difference is this. The difference is one was an imperative, one was a command. The second one is what they would call a preposition. Okay. A preposition is what they would say a location. Okay. So what the Most High is saying is, I'm going to put the staff that you have here, the letter Lamed, the first letter, I'm going to put this staff, I'm going to put this authority toward you. That ka right there is you. See, so back here, it was talking about to the imperative to command for you to walk from a root called halak, but here's to walk, to live, right? This one is saying, I'm directing my power, my authority towards you. So when Yah directs his authority towards Abraham, he's letting him know that I'm telling you that this journey for you is not just you walking in a physical and a spiritual way only. I'm not only just giving a command to that, but I'm also letting you know that I have a destination for your mind, your body, and your soul, which is you. Those are the three parts of you that the Most High is concerned with. So he has to be part of this journey. And in this journey, the Most High had said to Abraham, I will show you. And of course, we know he said, I'm going to show you the land. But this was very telling for me when he said, I will show you. So the walk with the Most High is about seeing something. He didn't ask this man to follow him or to go somewhere to take a walk without no purpose. When you're walking with the Most High and you're coming to be tamed, you're coming under his authority, you're being taken by him as a possession, he's grabbing hold of you and I in order to show us something. This is not based on what one believes. He didn't ask him, I want you to believe what I'm saying. He said, I will show you. I'm going to show you. I'm not just about telling you, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I will bless you. And he's not talking abstractly. He's talking about with goods. He's talking about with animals. He's talking about with gold. He's talking with silver. He's talking wealth. He's talking service. He's talking land. He's talking resources. Things that you can tangibly feel. Things that you can see with your own eyes. Words that you can hear. Sounds from the animals. The laughter from the boys and the girls and the families, the children and the servants, the alliances, the relationships that you have with people. I will make your name great. When the Most High was telling our father Abraham this about, I will show you, I will bless you, I will make your name great. That message was not just to our father, but it was to him and all of his descendants after him. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse anyone who curses you. And by you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. We've covered this before. This blessing also means that these nations and these families of the earth are going to come and bend a knee to the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're going to come and submit themselves to these people that are from this man's family. That's what that means. Then, of course, the Creator tells us, I am Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, who brought you out from Ur-Kasdim to give you this land as your possession. I'm the one who caused you. In the Hebrew, it says cause. This reminds me of when the Most High told the children of Israel that I am Yahweh, Anoki Yahweh Eloheka, Asher Dehotzithika, from the Me'aretz to the Mitzrayim. I am Yahweh who brought you out of the land of the Mitzrayim, or the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. Here he's telling our father, I am Yahweh who brought you out. I caused you to come out from Ur-Kasdim to give you this land as your possession. When I saw that it mentioned I am Yahweh, it made an antenna go up in my head and said, well, what is the significance of of Kasdim versus I'm the one that brought you out of Mitzrayim? We know the Mitzrayim has to do with slavery and bondage. So what is he bringing this man out from? What is he bringing our father out from? I wanted to show you that this word means light. It also means flame, okay? That's what it actually means. Literally, it means a flame. It means light. If you look in your right-hand corner there, you see the word or. But in Hebrew, the word for light is or versus ur. So they're related. So I said, you're bringing him out from light. You're bringing him in a flame. What are you doing? Why would you bring him out for this? Well, there's an extended meaning, okay? Has to do with not only his birthplace where he was born in a place of light. Hear what he's about to tell us. He was born in a place of light. He was born in a place where he was aroused. Okay. So means to be aroused. It means to be awakened, because that's what light does. Like, for example, when the sunlight comes out during the day, boom, you wake up. Your body clicks on and you wake up. So this is where the Most High woke him up at. He woke him up in the place he was born, okay? He aroused him from his sleep. And what it talks about in Hebrew about being aroused, meaning I'm going to arouse your emotions. I'm going to get you to start thinking. I'm going to get you to start asking questions. So when he grew up and he was raised from a child all the way in this place called Ur-Kasdim, which we know as modern day Babylon, or what they would call Iraq, he was born there. The Most High has aroused him from his birthplace. He got his emotions going. He caused him to start asking some questions. There's a lot of writings to talk about how the people in the Ur-Kasdim were the people who were astrologers, and they were also people called astronomers. And they were really into astronomy. They were really into the stars. They were really into the heavens. So all of his life, up to the 75 years of his life, because that's when the Most High had given him this mandate that I want you to leave your family. I want you to leave your friends. I want you to leave your home. I want you to leave your father's house. I want you to leave your birthplace. And I want you to take a journey, and I need you to walk in Lech Lecha. So before he began to Lech Lecha, he had to be aroused. There had to be something that was going on inside of his mind and his emotions. He was being stirred up from a stupor, or what they would say a sleep. So the Most High got in contact with him through his emotions, which has to do with his soul. Okay. So of course, Abraham started asking questions. And as a result of Avram coming from this land of the Chaldees, right? Meaning the place of light, the place of the flame, being aroused from his sleep, he then had to transport himself and his family and those who were with him over to another land. This is where we get the idea of called Avram the Hebrew. Okay, that's in English. Of course, it says something different in Hebrew. Okay, but Avram the Hebrew, and we're going to talk about that, which was found in your Torah portion. All of us have heard about being Hebrew, right? People ask me all the time, "Are you a Hebrew Israelite? Are you a Jew? What are you?" And I say, I'm Ivri. That's what I am, because that's what the proper name is for Hebrew. It's called Ivri. Okay, the letters, the H, the B, the R, and the W are on the left hand side of the screen, are the very letters that they have transliterated into these letters, right, from these letters right here, which is the I, the V, the R, and the I in English. Okay, but in the center here you have those letters, those four letters, which is the ayin, the bet, the resh, and the yod, which is called Ivri. So when someone asks you, "What are you? Are you a Jew?" You tell them, "No, I'm not. I'm not a Jew. I'm not Jewish. I'm not a Jew. I'm an Ivri." And they say, "Well, what's an Ivri?" Okay, then you say, "I'm a Hebrew," and it's spelled Ivri, Ivri. That's what they call it. Okay, so an Ivri basically means someone or something that has transitioned or has crossed over. Okay, so look at the idea of Avram being called an Ivri. He left the place where he was born. He was waking up from the place he was born, and the place where he was born, everyone, was a place what they would call from Babel or Babylonia. Okay, and it was a place of idolatry. It was a place of sorcery. It was a place of what they call astrology, which is a crime against the Most High. So the Most High woke him up in a place that was idolatrous. Okay. And so Avram had to make a transition. So when you tell someone that, what are you? I'm Ivri. You're telling him I'm the one who's crossed over. I'm the one who's transforming. I'm the one who's crossing over. I'm the one who's going beyond the borders. I'm the one who's leaving the people I need to leave in order to leka, in order to walk, in order to learn, in order to be tamed, in order to be disciplined, in order to be controlled. I'm that person. So when we talk about us being Ivri, everything that we learned about lek leka or lek has to do with the idea of being a Hebrew. A Hebrew is someone who's been transitioning from one location to the next, not only in a spiritual and a physical context, okay, but it's talking about emotional context, how we're going over to the other side with the Most High because we're from beyond. Now, this wasn't part of your Torah portion, but when we read this earlier in times past before, it kind of went over our head. Yehoshua, which was the assistant to Moshe, he said to all the people, "This is what Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, this is the name of the creator, Elohim of Israel, says. In antiquity, your ancestors lived on the other side of the Euphrates." Okay, so if they lived on the other side, they had to cross over the river of the Euphrates. So this is what Abraham did. And it gives the name of Terach, which is the father of Abraham, and Nahor, meaning his brother, and they served other gods. Terach, Abraham's father, served other gods. Abraham served other gods. He was an idolater from the place where he was born in the city of Ur, in the city of light. That's where Yah had awakened him, just like he's awakening you and I. And among his family, his father, his mother, his brother, his sister, his cousins, all these people, his friends, they were all idolaters. And Yah wanted to do something different with this man that we, you and I know today as our father, Abraham. What Yah has done is called him out of idolatry, serving the gods of the nations where you were born. Who taught him this idolatry? His father. Who taught his father? His father. Who taught him? His father. Who taught you about Easter and Christmas and Santa Claus and Thanksgiving and all these other things? You learned all this from your father. You learned all this from your ancestors. You learned all this from your family. You learned this and you bought into it because you have these relationships that hold you there. They keep the greatest relationship that can hold a people in idolatry is your family. They'll keep you right there because you don't want to lose that relationship. So the Most High has caused our Father to walk to Lek Lekah, away from everybody in order to be taught and to be learn the ways of the Most High Yah, to bring him out of idolatry. Okay, so where did this idea of Ivri come from? It comes from one of the descendants called Eber. Okay, this is one of Abraham's forefathers, which came from the line of Noah, Shem, Arphaxad, and I believe Eber was like the fourth, okay, or fourth or fifth. But he's one of the line of the Shem, okay, or Shem, and Shem means name, meaning character. We talked about the nobility and the dignity in which he showed to his father, and this type of tradition and these type of ways were passed on. But even if you have all that good in you, you still might end up in idolatry. So when I said, where did Abraham learn this idolatry from? He learned it from these people. He got it organically. You understand? But by Abraham becoming an Ivri, by him crossing over, by him, he's starting something new. He started something new for Yitzchak, which is his son at the bottom, meaning laughter. He started something new for Yaakov. He's the foundation of us coming out of idolatry, to be a people who have a relationship with the Almighty Creator that no one else has. Okay? As an Ivri, as a Hebrew, what comes along with being a Hebrew? Culture comes along with us. Art, sciences, music, all these types of things. Dress, what else? Food, what else? The way we do things, the way we dance. What else? Language. How we speak. What do our words mean? Do our letters, or are they just letters? Is it A, B, C, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z, which means absolutely nothing? Or is it an Aleph, which means strength, or a Bet, which means house? Or is it a Gimel, means to travel? Or is it a Dalet, which is the door? Or is it a Hey, is to look? Or what is it, a Wah, meaning and in the tent peg? What is it? Your culture, your language, your people, your fathers, your mothers are different. They're the ones who have gone beyond. They're the ones who have transitioned from one space to the next. And you and I have been chosen and been invited into this idea of being Hebrew and Ivri. Yahweh said to Avram, after Lot or Lot had moved away from him, look all around you, from where you are, to the north, to the south, the east, and the west. All the land you see with what? With your eyes. I will give to you and your descendants forever. You and I are part of those descendants forever. This is a promise that the Most High has given. He not only told him to look at the land, I need you to hear him and hear him well. Not only look with your eyes and look at the land that you're walking on, and I need you to look at it and walk through it. I also want you to turn your attention and I need you to look. That is a command. Up at the sky. These looks here are not suggestive. It's not recommended. It is a command. Just like lek is the same as look. It's a command. It's an imperative. You need to look up at the sky. And the second command is count. I don't want you to think about it. I want you to count it. I want you to count the stars if you can count them. Why would you have me to give a command to me that I could not keep? It's not that he gave him a command that he couldn't do. He wanted him to know that whatever I tell you to do, if you would just do it, you would see the benefits. It's not, the commands are not given to us so we can always understand everything. Listen to what I'm telling you. You and I might not really know the down and dirtiness of why the Most High tell us to wear fringes. You and I might not fully understand why he says that a man can't be with a woman and then another man be with her, and then you can come back and you can't be with her again. We may not fully understand why he says that I need you to not work on the seventh day. We don't have a full, complete understanding. The commands are not given to us so we can fully understand them. He wants to see if you have a willingness, if you have intention. There's some things that you and I just can't do. But if you had a willingness to do it, your descendants will be that many. See, this is the reason why the Most High has spoken to our Father to give him a promise. Our Father responds with the question, which is indicative of one who possesses wisdom. Yahweh, Elohim, how am I to know that I will possess it? Oh boy. Possess what? Possess the land. How am I to know this? The Most High tells him to give him another command. Bring me a 3-year-old cow, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a dove, and a young pigeon. Now, when this command was given, did he understand why? Did he fully understand why? No. I didn't understand why. I still don't understand everything why. I have some clues that I'm going to share with you on why. I have some things that I looked at, some definitions of some words that gives me some type of idea, a little bit of a glance on why he said what he said. You see, it says the secret things belong unto Yah, but the things revealed to us and our children are revealed to us so that we would be able to keep the Torah. So there's things that Yah won't reveal to us. So you're not going to get all the answers. You're not. There's things that he just don't want us to know at certain times. Well, why didn't my mother understand? Because he didn't want her to know. Wasn't for her. It's for you. What's for me? It's for those who are getting it. And when you and I make this journey with Yah and we walk with him, he'll reveal certain things. Every season we go through the same places. This is not our first time coming in Genesis chapter number 12 all the way to chapter number 17. This is not our first time reading those 5 chapters. It's not going to be our last time reading those chapters. Okay? But here, when the Most High had asked Abraham to bring him the cow that was 3 years old, it says 3. That's what it said. 3-year-old cow, 3-year-old female. And I looked that up. And a 3-year-old ram and a dove and a pigeon. I looked it up. It wasn't 3-year-old. It didn't say, shalosh shanim. It didn't say 3 years. The word year is not even mentioned. Okay? It's not even mentioned. The word that's being used right there means third time. The third time. I'm like, the third time? What are you talking about? The third time. Okay? Let's get a little deeper. When we talk about the third time, there's all these examples that we have about thirds. Okay? The first is the patriarchs, which you and I know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's 3. That's a set of 3. We have our pilgrimage feast, which is Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Those are the 3 feasts that you're supposed to show up in Israel and Jerusalem. Okay. Then we have the Tanakh, which is the Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim, which are the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. That's a package of 3 times, the third time. Okay. Meaning it has this idea of complete perfection and thoroughness. So I asked the Most High, what do you mean? Why the 3-year-old cow? Why? Why do you want her? And why? Most High clearly showed me that when you get a cow in its first year, you don't take it out to the the land. You don't automatically put a cow out in the land when it's his first year. You don't put it in his second year. The time that you put it out is when it completes its third year, because it has to go through a time of testing. It has to go through a time of taming. It has to go through a cycle of learning before it can do the work that I need to do in order for it to be effective. Okay. So in order for something, and it has to stay in its pen, a circular pen, so I can teach it how to walk when I tell it. I can teach it to stop when I say stop. I can teach it when it gets out of line. I can prod it and I can stick the staff in the side and direct it back to where I want it to go. What is y'all saying? If I'm going to do anything, I have to prepare you for the service before you get out and do it. I'm going to prepare your patriarchs. I'm going to prepare you through my festivals. I'm going to prepare you through the prophets. I'm going to prepare you through the Torah. I'm going to prepare you through the writings. I'm going to prepare you. We don't use the prophets in order for us to take instruction. The only instruction we have is the Torah. That's the T in Tanakh. That's what the T represents, Torah. The N represents the Navaim, which are the prophets, and the K is for the writings called the Ketavim. Those things are necessary for us to get a complete preparation so we can be thoroughly acquainted and associated with our Elohim. Our Elohim is not going to call you and I and put us out to work and we don't know what we're doing, so we'll end up failing. That's not going to happen. Okay? So the third time, you know how they say three times the charm? Here, the Most High is saying, I got to do something 3 times. As you notice, we have our word slavery here, which is a big part of who we are as a people. Okay? This is what Yah has decided to use for the training. This is what Yah has decided to use for the taming. This is what the Most High has decided to use for the control and the discipline. This is the way he's going to do it. This is the way he decided to do it, because this is the way he does it. Okay? The first time, remember we're talking about a third. The first cycle for us in our slavery, it's not Abraham, it's for us as the descendants of Abraham, had to go through what they would call our Egyptian slavery. That's what you and I had to go through. And in order for him to introduce himself to us, you and I needed to go through this. Our ancestors needed to go to Egypt. That's the first time. The second time was in the Babylonian and an Assyrian. Why do you have 2 names down there, Akika? Because the Babylonian exile and slavery piece was for the tribe of Judah and the tribe that was associated with them. The Assyrians were for the 10 tribes. But as a whole house collectively, they didn't go at the same time, but they all went into slavery. Okay, so half of them went to Assyria, 10 of them went to Assyria, and the bottom half of the nation went to Babylon. That's the second slavery. The entire house of Israel went into slavery. The third time is the time that you and I are in right now, where he has scattered us to the 4 winds of the earth. So you could be in California, you could be in London, you could be in England, you could be in Africa. You're all over the place. The Most High has chosen this to get our attention in order to tame us, in order to teach us. See? Now, in your Torah, you found out that after the sun had set, there was a thick darkness, a smoking fire pot, and a flaming torch appeared. And it passed between these animal parts, as we just mentioned. Okay? So those animal parts were cut into pieces, except for the dove and the pigeon. Okay, they were made whole, but he's given us some context about what happened after he slaughtered these animals. Okay, that day Yahweh made a covenant with Abraham. So going back to the idea of the third, Yah is telling us that when I gave you the 3-year-old, the 3 is not 3-year-old. When I gave you that, I gave you a third. I'm going to break. My covenant is going to come in 3 different times. My covenant is coming in 3 different times. It's going to come to be thorough and to be complete through slavery. Your first time is going to be Egypt. The second time is going to be the Babylon and the Assyrian. And the last time is going to be the 4 winds. And then my people are going to be ready. Then we're going to be ready. Okay. So when he made that covenant, that's what he had in mind. That's why he used those animals that he did. And that's the reason why he wanted them after they said 3 years old, but it was 3 cycles. Okay. The covenant that he made is called a berit, or when some say a berith. Okay. A berit is a covenant, and a covenant is basically a contract. It's an agreement that comes with what they would say obligations. Okay. So this is what the Most High had made. He made a covenant with Abraham, agreement with him that came with obligations. Okay. Generally, when the covenant is made, it's made between 2 parties. Okay. The parties don't have to be singular, they could be plural. Okay. But as we know, the Most High is not plural, he's singular. And we know at this moment that Abraham, when he's talking to him, he is talking to Abraham, but he's not only talking to Abraham, he's talking to Isaac, he's talking to Jacob, and he's talking to the 12 sons of Israel, and he's talking to the descendants. See, that's what allows us to be in an agreement with Yah on this. You see? So when Yah made this, he says there's an obligation to this agreement. And what is the obligation? The covenant must be confirmed. It must be ratified. We have to know that it's valid. Yah validated the covenant by himself. He made Abraham fall asleep, and he walked between those pieces. He did, not Abraham. You see? And let me give you a little bit more context when we talk about a covenant. When they took those animals and he split those animals in half, what they're basically saying is this covenant is just as serious as me slaughtering these animals. When I cut these animals in half, okay, when I cut them in half, I'm going to put one half on one side and I'm going to put one half on the other side. And we're going to make a walking path between the pieces. Okay? Both parties are supposed to walk through those pieces. To say that if any one of us breaks this covenant, let happen to that person what just happened to these animals. Well, we know that the Most High himself is the one who went through the pieces himself. Abraham didn't. So the Most High swore this covenant based on what Yah has promised. That's what he did. He did it based on what his promises are. So this covenant that is made here, this berit right here, was validated or ratified or made valid by what Yah has done. This is a promise from him. But even so, Abraham did not go through it. He's still part of it. He's still part of it. His sons are still part of it. His daughters are still part of it. Meaning that now that it's been validated, there's a level of commitment that each party has to do. Yah is just as committed to us as we are to him. If you and I would be committed to the Most High, if you and I would be dedicated to him and dedicated to the covenant like he is, then you and I would understand the relationship that the Most High had. The berit is a relationship. The berit, the covenant, also comes with consequences. If you are to fail in your commitment, the promise that I said I was going to do for you. So the consequences of this is this. Most High tells Abraham to do something we're going to get into a second, because right now I just told you about Yah walking through it. But he's still part of the covenant. Abraham is still part of that covenant. Even though he didn't walk through it, he's still party to it. He still has a responsibility. He still has a duty. He still has a commitment. And he also has consequences. Okay? In your Haftarah teaching, this week in the book of Isaiah, chapter number 41, verse number 8 says this: Zerah Abraham Ahavai. What does that mean? It means seed of Abraham whom I'm loving. They say in English that Abraham was the Creator's friend. It didn't say that. It says the seed of Abraham, whom I'm loving. Yah is loving the descendants of Abraham. He's loving you and I because of Abraham. He's loving us because of Abraham's willingness. He's loving us because of Abraham's lek. He went, he walked. He's loving us because our father had asked questions. He's loving us because our father was committed to him. And because you and I are the Zerah of Avram or Avraham, then you and I too have to do what our father has done, which is to be loyal and to be dedicated to what he was dedicated to. Abraham considered the berith. He considered the covenant. He considered the relationship. This is the whole purpose, everyone, of a covenant. Just like you would in a marriage. Just like you would in any other relationship that you have an agreement. Just like you would in an employment. A berith is not just a covenant from they say religious standpoint. There's covenants being made all the time. There's business relationships. There's employment relationships. There's partnerships. There's relationships between man and woman. There's relationships between children and their parents. There's relationships. There's covenants all over the time. There's agreements. Would you think that when you have a house payment, they call that a loan agreement? That's a covenant. When you get a credit card, you just established a relationship with that business. And they could get you, and you'll have consequences if you do not live up to the commitment that you said, which is to pay the interest rate, or make the payment on this date. So I almost said something. How can you and I live in a world that tells us about contracts, and if we fail to fulfill them, we know that we're going to be adjudicated or penalized if we don't fulfill our obligation? How is it that we know that if we don't make our car payment, then you'll get your car repoed? How is it we know that if we don't pay our PG&E, the lights are not coming on? We have an obligation because they're giving us something, and you and I are supposed to give them something, which you and I would understand. In any relationship, there is going to be what you would call an exchange. There's an exchange. And the exchange has to not benefit one party. When the Most High got into this relationship, he did not say this is just going to be beneficial. There is a benefit for you and I to be in a relationship with the Most High. These stupid people have told you and I that he's God and he's up in the heavens and he doesn't want nothing from us and he doesn't expect nothing and he sent somebody to die for our sins and we owe him nothing except for just believe that he's God. No! There's an exchange. And the exchange in this relationship is worship and obedience and love to the Most High. Respect and reverence towards the Most High. Honor to the Most High. You see? So we have these relationships and we're giving everyone else what they want, but we don't want to give it to the Most High. Relationships require intimacy, a sense of closeness. The Most High wants to be in a relationship with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and their descendants. He had him lek lekah in order so you and I could be in a relationship with him. I hope you can see this today. He put an agreement in place so nobody can turn around and change it. He gave a berith so no one can ever come in and change it. He walked through those pieces because no matter what, I love this man so much. I know that his descendants are going to act a fool. I'm going to love him. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be their Elohim. Because Yah wants us to be acquainted. He wants us to be familiarized with his ways. He wants us to be familiar with his thoughts and his actions and his desire and the outcomes that he looks for and what pleases him. In the book of Psalms, chapter 105, it says, remember the wonders he has done, his signs and his spoken rulings, meaning his judgments, you descendants of Abraham, his servant, you offspring of Yaakov, his chosen ones. You're chosen. He is Yahweh, our Elohim. He's your Elohim. He's your power. His rulings are everywhere on the earth. He remembers his covenant. How long? Forever. So when some clown comes up and tells you that he broke his covenant and you're in a new covenant, eat my body, drink my blood, this is what I've given for you, you could tell them no way, because he remembers his covenant forever. The word he commanded to 1,000 generations. He commanded it. The covenant he made with Abraham, the oath he swore to Yitzchak, and established a law for Yaakov, for Israel, an everlasting covenant. That's how long your covenant is. What does he say? To you, I will give the land of Canaan as your allotted heritage. To you. That word to you there is lakah. It's to you. It's me pushing you towards it. It's me, because you belong to me, and because you're walking with a staff in your hand, and you're walking around where I told you, and you're living the way that I said, I'm going to give this land to you. The land is part of the Berit. It's part of the covenant. Descendants are part of the covenant. And of course, power. You said, well, what power? Yahweh is our power. These are the three areas that the Berit covers. And everything that goes along with the land. So you got the trees, you got the vegetables, you got the fruits, you got the wine, you got the oil, you got everything you need to survive. You have what they would call sustainability from the sustenance that's in the land. You got the wheat, the barley, the pomegranates, the figs, you got it all. The dates, you got it all. You got the cattle, you got the sheep, you got the goats, you got the rams, you got the lambs. You got the little ewe lambs. You got the milk from them, you got the cheese, you got it all. What else do you need? And when you have a land, then of course you have descendants. It doesn't make any sense to have land without descendants. And this is the question that our father was wise enough to ask. How would I know? The reason why you should know I'm going to give all this to you is because I'm going to provide you with the descendants that you need to live on this vast amount of land. If the land was just for Abraham, one man, it wouldn't make any sense. And out of all your sons, there's only a certain group of people that I want to give this to that comes through you, not Yishmael. Put your device on mute. Okay. This is not from Ishmael. I'm not giving this land to Ishmael. I'm not giving this land to your other 6 sons that you have with Keturah. I'm not giving this land to all the other sons and daughters that you have with your concubines. I'm giving this to your son that I promised you that I wanted, so I can bring forth the one that I want, Yaakov, to change his name to Yisrael. The 12 sons that I want to give, which you and I are the descendants of those individuals. Yah wants to be the power of the people of the land. This is what the covenant means. I'm your life force. I'm the one who gives you the rain. I'm the one who gives you the sun. I'm the one who gives you the seasons. I'm the one who keeps the insects off of your land. I'm the one who keeps the diseases off your descendants. I'm the one who opens up your wounds of your animals and your people. I'm the one who gives you all the gold and silver. I'm the one who gives you the prestige and the name and the notoriety and the regality and the nobility. I'm the one. Abraham became wealthy. Period. He had much cattle, silver, and gold. I told you we're going to talk about wealth. The word for wealth or possessions in Hebrew is called rekush. Rekush. Okay, rekush. Rekush is possessions, servants, and resources. That's your wealth. That's what he had. He had over 318 servants. He had possessions. He had gold and silver. He received a lot of gold and silver and possessions and servants from the land of Mitzrayim, from Pharaoh, when he told him to lekah, when he told him to leave his land. Okay, we saw that as well. He has resources. He has cattle. He has all different types of things that are necessary for the prosperity and the posterity of the family. Okay. Rekush gives a family strength and stability and, of course, influence. I believe that our father, Abraham, was very influential. He was a man of influence. He was an influencer. He was the one that can speak to someone. And you know, if you don't have any influence, okay, you don't really have any power. This is so Yah is connected to his influence. Yah is connected to his strength and stability. The patriarch, okay, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, which we call a patriarchal society. In the patriarchal society, the father is the one who's responsible for the prosperity, okay, and the protection of the family. He's supposed to be the one who's to not only give them physical instruction and sustenance, but also to give the spiritual instruction for them and for their souls. So not only is Rekush having to do with that which is physical, but it also has to do with spiritual. Now we understand that Rekush, wealth can and should be measured. It gives an opportunities that you probably never had before. We're told in what they would call the New Testament, go sell everything you have and give it to the poor. Most High never says that. Never tells you to do that. Okay. We find that Abraham has so much wealth that him and his nephew had to part ways. That's how much wealth they had. So we're not talking about poor people. What we're talking about is the covenant that we're in with our Creator is going to demand wealth. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. It demands wealth. It demands power. The type of power that you and I have as an Ivri is a person who's supposed to have wealth. You're supposed to have authority. You're supposed to have influence. You're supposed to have strength. Your family's supposed to have stability. We don't, because we squandered off all of our wealth. The Most High told our father, don't be afraid, Avram. I'm your protector. Your reward will be very great. When we walk with the Most High, as our father did, the Most High is ensuring protection for you and your family. And also, I'm going to reward you. I'm going to give you the Rekush. I give you the possessions. I give you the wealth so you can manage it. I give you the wealth so you can invest it. I give you the wealth so you can protect it. Why? So you can share this and pass this on to the next generation, and the next generation, and next generation, and next generation. That's why we do what we do. Okay? This is the reason why the greatest possession that you and I have today is what they would call the Torah. So with the Torah needs to be managed. You need to invest time like you would money into the Torah, and your time into what you're investing. You need to invest into the Torah. You need to know, and that's what you're doing right now. You need to protect it because it's your greatest treasure. So when Abraham heard that his nephew had been taken captive, according to our Torah portion, he led out his trained men who had been born in his house, 318 of them. How wealthy was he? He had 318 trained servants. That's not including the women. So we're not talking about a few people with him. We're talking about probably 600 to 700 people, or even more. So he had a community, and they went in pursuit as far as Dan. Now, this is in chapter number 14. It talks about the war. that our father fought with his people and won. Okay. But there was something interesting in the Hebrew that says something different. It says, it said that he had taken captive, he led out, meaning he armed himself. Well, in Hebrew, it says something different when he said he led out. I have it italicized so we can speak on this about him. In English, it would say be led out, or he armed himself, then he went out with his trained men. Something happened to him, which is very important for us. In the Hebrew, it talks about his soul. Something happened to his soul when this happened to his nephew. When there was a situation where distress and anxiety came because he had heard that his nephew had been taken, and all the people, he didn't just go save his nephew, he went and saved everyone. He delivered them out of the hands of what they would say the four kings. Okay, so the story was 5 kings against 4. He went and the other kings, the 5 kings were defeated by the 4 kings. But do you know the Most High empowered our Father with his 318 men to defeat those armies? So our Father became great, and he's the Ivri. And so Ivris are the ones who are great. But also, too, let's bring out the idea of him having to fight a war. But something happened to him before he got into this hardship. This is a difficulty for him. So we're in the hardship segment of our teaching now. We dealt with the wealth. Now we're dealing with the hardship. There was a hardship. And what happened was, when it said that he armed or he led out, what it was really talking about in Hebrew is that his soul came to a place of being depleted, meaning that he had poured out his soul. He poured out his soul to Yahweh. He emptied himself. So what are you and I to learn from this experience? We are to learn that when we come into times of adversity and difficulty and opposition and distress and anxiety, that's when you and I should pour out our soul to the Most High. That's when we have to pour it out. I'm guilty of this. I have a lot of situations going on, and I failed to understand it until just right now. And maybe this is the reason why I'm going through what I'm going through, because I have failed to allow my soul to be poured out 100% empty. Okay. Nothing left. Okay. So what he did is he poured out his soul to the Most High when he found out that his nephew had been taken. This pouring it can also be a negative. Okay. When we're talking about pouring out. Okay. This has to do too with your enemies. Okay. There's something that you can pour out on your enemies. And what he was asking the Most High is, okay, I pour my soul out to you. I empty myself to you. Once I'm empty, you can fill me. The Most High filled him with strength for the battle and gave him the wisdom, the knowledge, and understanding in order to defeat his enemies. Okay. So in the Hebraic culture and historical background, when Israel or ancient Israelites had to deal with their enemies, they had to deal with them in a way they had to have complete intent to either completely destroy them or put them in so much harm that they would never be a problem again. And the only way you can do that is by pouring out judgment. You have to have your mind made up about what I'm going to do with my enemy. You and I are not supposed to befriend your enemy like the New Testament has told you, that your ancestors have told you to put your weapons down. Okay, put down your wisdom, your knowledge, and understanding in order so you can be accepted, so you can maintain these relationships with the people that are known to be your enemy. An enemy is someone who's going against your father. That's an enemy. Anybody that's going against your father is an enemy. Going against the house of your father. The Hebrew word for enemy has to deal with individuals coming against the house and of the father. Okay, the father's in charge of the house. Okay, so you have to be able to execute complete judgment on that. And the Most High doesn't tell us to love these people. He tells us to get rid of them, to bring harm to them, and to devastate them, okay, and to desolate them so they can't come back against you, okay? There's also a positive part that we saw with Abraham, okay, and him pouring his soul out to the Most High. But for you and I, for teaching purposes, we see that there's a negative. There's a negative pouring out, but there's also one positive. And what are we talking about? Our soul. You could pour your soul out to destroy. Okay. But Yah, fill me with strength to destroy these people. But also, too, you can ask Yah you can pour yourself out to Yah and ask him to fill you with what? I want to pour something else out besides the negative. I want to pour out the positive. I want to be able to use the my soul, my desire to help the people that are around me, my guest, my alliances, my friendships. You could pour your soul out to individuals. And by doing this, instead of judgment, you show hospitality, like Abraham did with his alliances that he had. Like we see with, Melchizedek came and met him after the war with wine and bread, and he poured his soul out to him. He treated him with hospitality. You understand? So these are the things that we need to look for. Your soul is your desires, okay? It's your emotions, it's your personality. And this is what we're after, right? This is what we need to give to the Most High. Just like he says, the soul that sinneth against me is the one that's going to perish, the one that's going to be blotted out of my book. He's not talking about your body. He's not talking about your eyeballs, your ears, your haircut. He's not talking about that, your legs, your toes. He's not talking about that. He's talking about your soul. So your soul consists of desires, emotions, your personality, your identity of who you are. So if the whole being of yourself is to, your desires are bent towards that which is evil and wrong and dysfunctional, you're going to be destroyed. Okay. Because now the Most High says you're going against me. Okay. So we have to be able to maintain and regulate our desires and our emotions, because that's what our soul consists of. We have emotions, and also to the overall arching idea of a personality. You are who you are. All of our souls are different. My soul, I like certain things, and I have certain desires. I have certain emotions, and I'm a little bit more emotional than other people in certain ways. But I also might be, a certain way that's a little bit different than someone else. It doesn't make me any better. It just means that we're all different. Okay. But no matter what the differences are, you and I are going to still have to succumb and submit to the authority of the Most High, which is the Lek. That is to put the staff towards us, to tame us. So the Most High's desire is to tame our soul. I want to tame your soul. And ultimately, when he tames our soul, our true personality, who we are, he can then get our emotions under control, and he can control our desires. So whatever it may be, it still needs to be tamed when we go to Yah. We're all different. Okay. The soul itself, and of course, that takes training. It takes dedication, and it takes overall to bring about what they would call efficiency. So the soul that's trained, the soul that's tamed, the soul that's dedicated, the soul that is, being responsible, the soul that is, chasing and following after the Most High, the one that is, invested into him, you're going to have really nice outcomes, which kind of ties into what we talk about our wealth, right? So, in wealth, you have to use your wealth in a certain way to bring about efficiency. You got to know how to maintain things, right? For yourself. And so your soul needs to be efficient. Your household needs to have the same thing. So we start with ourselves, then we get into our households, the place that we live, right? So we have a household, we have individuals that live there, sons, daughters, whoever, cousins, friends, whoever may need a place. They need to understand, if you're going to be in this household consists of training, dedication, and efficiency. When you talk about the work that you do, you had to go through training, you had to be dedicated, so you could be efficient in the field in which you're working in. So people ask all the time, well, what field do you work in? Well, back in the day, before there was this idea of, the workforce that we're in and all these different professions, we all did work in a field. Okay. It was a field of fruits and vegetables and vegetation, of vineyards and all this. So we did work in a field. They're using that terminology to describe, well, what field are you in? Right. So some of us are in the education field. So that's literally a field. And in your field, you work a different way. You plan a different way. You raise certain things, that how you have to handle things differently than a person who might be in a financial field or the tech field. So whatever field you're in, you're still in the field. It's just they renamed it. It gave it, some other name or title to, hey, technology or real estate or whatever. It's still a field. If it's the healthcare profession, it's in the field of this, or I'm in the field of ministry. Whatever field, you're still having to do work. You're still having to do training. You're still going to have to be dedicated. in order to bring about the efficiency. So you want this not only for yourself, but you want this for your household. You want this to translate from you to your home. And you have to put these things in place. If you don't put these things in place, you're going to have chaos. That's what you're going to have. Okay. So when Abraham was 99 years old, Yahweh appeared to Avram and said to him, I'm El Shaddai, which means the Almighty. Again, walk. That is lech in my presence and be pure hearted. That walk right there, everyone, is what they call hitpael. It's a reflexive action. It's not something that the Most High caused. It's something the Most High had required from him to be in his presence. So it was a command. And what he was telling him is that I want your character has to be a certain way. You have to live your life in a certain manner. Okay. This life that you're going to live and this character that you're going to have has to be, we're talking about nobility. We're talking about ethics. You're going to have to be very ethical if you're going to be with me. And you're also going to have to walk in humility. You got to have to understand the magnitude and an enormity of my power. If we understand this, we recognize this because we've become familiar with the Most High. We've come to know him through the things that we've experienced in our lives. Like I opened up in my monologue, that it's through our life experiences that Yah is shaping our lives. It's through our experiences. So he'll bring us to certain places in order to bring about the things that he's looking for. And the goal is to bring us to a place of nobility, okay, and to be ethical, okay, like you have to do in nursing. You have to be a police officer. You have in real estate. You have to be ethical. Any business, you have to be ethical. In any type of agreement, you're gonna have to be ethical. But you want to be ethical with yourself. This is not just for the benefit of everyone else. This is to benefit you. This is so you can have the life that you desire to have. Okay, and so the Most High is looking for our humility, right, through our character. With our character, we have to acquire what they would call discipline. Discipline is going to have to play a key role in our lives as the children of Israel, as the Ivri. As the Ivri, you and I are going to have to understand time management, and that comes through discipline. Okay. Health and wellness, we have to discipline ourselves in the way that we eat, the way that we live, the way that we exercise, the way we take care of our body, and also too in our resources. We don't want to be frivolous spenders. We want to be people who about investment. We want to be people that are about wealth. Okay. So I'm not here to tell you to sell everything. I'm not here to tell you, give me all your money. I'm here to tell you what to do with your money. I'm here to tell you how to manage. Okay. At one point, I was a wealth manager in my real estate field, and I know how to save and I also know how to invest. But what it is that the most important thing that we need to learn is the time and the health and the wellness and the resources that we have has to be centered around our lives. This is about you. This is about your soul. So you won't face other hardships, because if you're not prepared in any of these areas, you're going to have a problem. So again, time management is a discipline. Discipline yourself in health and wellness and in your resources. Um, here is the idea of learning, right? Lomé means to learn, right? Study. Okay, that's the word, a Hebrew word that I wanted to share with you. What you can see, the letter L goes right down to your letter Lamed. Okay, so our letter Lamed is almost the same as our word Lomed. Okay, Lamed is Lamed. That's the name of the letter that you see down here. But this word Lomed means to study. Okay, so for this next coming week, we're going to be studying the Torah again. Okay, because we're on a cycle and we're always about studying, we're always about learning. Genesis chapter number 18, verse number 1 to chapter number 22, verse number 24. Okay, your Haftarah reading is going to be 2 Kings chapter number 4, verse number 1, all the way to verse number 37. And of course, in Tehillim, which is called the Psalms, you're going to read chapters number 49 all the way to chapter number 78. Read a little bit each day. Okay. So all of this is about our studying. This is about our learning. Okay. Take the time not only to read, but I want you to take the time to study, and I want you to take the time to meditate. Okay. Let's see here.